Today we will learn FTP, File Transfer Protocol in our Linux. FTP is one of the most popular way to transfer the file from machine to machine across a network. Client and server have been written for almost all popular platforms in the market, and thereby making FTP the most convenient way to perform this file transfer. Basically, various methods exist to configure your FTP server. One is a private user only site, which is the default configuration for the FTP server. A private FTP server allows user on a Linux system only to be able to connect via FTP and access their own file. Another method is to configure as an unmoused FTP server. An unmoused FTP server allows anyone on the network to connect to it and transfer the file without having an account, and due to the potential security risk and that involved with a setup. And now we learn FTP, how to configure the FTP in our Linux system. First of all, we understand the FTP profile. In market there are various FTP softwares are available, but in Linux this is the default FTP server is most popular and secure. Its type is the system view management service. For FTP server require the VSFTPD package. Just see in our Linux systems, we install the package VSFTPD. First of all, insert the Linux source DVD in our DVD ROM, mount the DVD in our media folder and open the DVD with CD command. We are in server folder. The folder are in our Linux DVD. In this folder has contained our source, Linux source. And now run the command rpm-ivh, then type vsftpd keyword and press tab. Now type full package name. Press enter to install the package. Package is installed. Here use AID keyword. Now third is VSFTPD has required one domain, that name is VSFTPD, and the domain are stored in user/sbin directory. Domain, that means one type of process. Service. And VSFTPD script are available in /etc/init.d directory. The script name is VSFTPD. An FTP server file name, service name is VSFTPD. VSFTPD has a two type of port. FTP has a 21 port and FTP data has a 20 port are used in FTP server. Just see the FTP server configuration file on a screen. There are three configuration files and the file stored in /etc/vsftpd directory. vsftpd.conf and FTP users. This is a configuration file of FTP server. One file are stored in /etc/palm.d directory. Finally, the log file are stored in variable /log directory. The file name is xferlog. Just see in our screen there are related configuration file of FTP server. Now configure the FTP server. First of all, install the packet. The packet name is a VSFTPD. Install this packet with rpm-ivh command. For that, just go in our source directory with cd command and run the rpm-ivh command. Finally, package is installed in our Linux system. Here we are in server system. Now start the FTP service. Here FTP service name is VSFTPD. For that we use the service command. Suppose if you want to restart the VSFTPD service, just run the command service VSFTPD restart. Start the service. Just run the command service VSFTPD start. Now after restart the VSFTPD service, if you want to start VSFTPD service permanently in our Linux system, run the command chconfig, then type VSFTPD service name and then type on keyword. Next, third step. Suppose in our Linux system the SE Linux is on. SE Linux is a security enhanced Linux. This is a new concept in RHEL 5.0 and earlier version. This is used for security purpose. By default in Linux, SE Linux is on. Suppose SE Linux is on, then FTP domain policy is on. It's working in our Linux system. Finally, you cannot access this Linux system anywhere on your network. So for that, first of all we run the command iptable -f and then we run the command get sebool -a. Then with use pipe command we run other command grep ftpd_disable_trans. So here you can see ftpd_disable_trans is off. That means policy is working. Just set off to on. So it will prompt use the current status of FTP boolean which is off. So at that time we need to make it on. For that run the command set sebool. Set sebool and then type ftpd_disable_trans is equal to 1 for change the status of FTP boolean. Now run the get sebool command and check the ftpd_status_trans boolean. Here we use the pipe command to run both commands simultaneously. Now see the output. This configuration is required when the SE Linux is enabled in our Linux system. This is a security concept. Okay. This is the SE Linux security configuration required in our Linux system. Now create a user and password in our Linux system. For that run the command user add in our Linux system. Just see in our terminal we are in server computer. Just run the command user add on key. Now on key user is add. Finally set the password with passwd command. After set the key user password, clear the screen. For that run the command clear. Now FTP server configuration is completed. Now access the FTP server on client machine. Now we go on client machine and access the FTP server. For that we use following syntax. In client computer run the command FTP and then type the server IP address. Which server address we want to access the on network. Just see in Linux system we are in client computer and run the command FTP and then type the server IP address where FTP server is configured. Press enter. Now type username. Suppose if you enter, so by default the root user is working. Here you type the user key where created in our server. Then type a password. Now the login successfully. Here we are in server computer. The server computer FTP are running in our computer. Just run the ls command. Here the keys user home directory are displayed. First of all create one directory with mkdir command, mkdir js. Run the ls